And welcome back, everybody, to the Podcaster Nation. That's right. I said welcome back because I know you were just listening to our stuff and you wanted to come back for more. Folks, that was a brilliant decision. Absolutely fantastic because we have a lot more for you. Why do we have more for you? Because this is the podcast that's about podcasters, it's for podcasters, and it's done by podcasters. And my guest today, amongst other things, is that's right. Wait for it, is a podcaster. You figured it out. You are brilliant. Folks, this is the place where we all come together to raise each other up, and this is the place where the rising tide raises all ships. So let's get sailing. Our guest today, he is enlisted in the Air Force. He's a girl dad of three daughters. And so right off the bat, I mean, you got to feel for this guy. Three daughters? Come on, I have one. She almost killed me. He's also the host of the hit podcast, The Daughtered Podcast. Please welcome to the show, Oscar Pena. How you doing, Oscar?
What's up, Rory? Thanks for having me on, man.
All right, good to talk to you again, man. I had the pleasure of having Oscar on one of my other podcasts. I love what you're doing. And before we dive into all this stuff, tell everybody a little bit about you, man. Let them get to know you.
Yeah, man, thank you. You said I'm a podcaster. I'm still trying to figure out what the threshold is to be calling myself a podcaster. Yeah, I'm Oscar Pena. I am a father of three daughters. At some point in my life, and if you listen to the other episode, you probably can figure it out. I figured out. I don't know what I'm doing, and I'm in need of some guidance, assistance, and perspectives. And so Um, that's where my podcast started. I am enlisted in the Air Force. Been here for a while. I won't say the numbers because I'm just old. And then been married for 22 years to just an amazing woman that keeps me grounded and in line. And she gave me three beautiful daughters, man. I came from a little tiny town in California. Left there literally when I joined the Air Force, and haven't been back to live there since. So been traveling around and getting experiences and perspectives, just like I mentioned. So yeah, that's a short form information on Oscar.
Nice. Brother, 22 years married and three daughters. You've already won in life. So congratulations. That's just fantastic. It really is.
Well, I won't disagree with you. I definitely am. I'm winning in that aspect for sure. Super blessed to have just yeah, my support system, which is my daughters and my wife. So for sure.
Yeah, it's fantastic, man. It really is. When you and I talked last time, and of course, this is a whole different group of people who are listening. So, we may
Yeah.
say some of the same things, but they haven't heard it yet. So to
Yeah.
them,
Right.
it's the first time we ever said it. But you've been through having three kids, and bless you, and you kind of went through some different things with each daughter.
Yeah.
And if I remember right, you learned something sort of new and kind of had a transformation with each child. Is that right?
Oh, dude, I'm literally learning something new on the day. It's insane.
It's awesome.
The crazy thing is that I think like some of us knuckle draggers, we don't realize that we're supposed to learn at certain points in life, right? And so I think I just, particularly with my oldest, I just didn't do the learning I should have done early on
Mm.
with her. And then, the second comes around, and then you start realizing, oh, I'm a little better at this, I'm a little worse at that. Oh, I definitely screwed it up with the last one. Let me try to fix that. Like those kinds of curves in the learning aspect, right? And then the third comes around, and you realize like you thought you had it down. You're like, oh, three, I should have this down by now. And then the third just throws you a complete other curveball, and you have to relearn everything. It's kind of nuts. And then self-induced as well. I mean, mine are 4 years apart. So I tell my wife, I'm like,
Yeah,
oh,
wow.
we kind of did it. And then here comes a new one. And it's like, ah, gosh, all right, let's figure this out. And then, oh, we kind of did it again. And then here comes a new. So self-induced pain, if you will.
Wow.
But it's been it's been an amazing learning curve. And then, for me, I'm a big believer in discomfort. Um, it's very uncomfortable,
Mhm.
obviously, and having kids, if you allow it to, makes you uncomfortable, and then lets you grow. And part of that discomfort was trying to get into kind of the podcasting world, right? Like this thing is, bro, like way out of left field. Like I'm not a social media guy. I'm like I said, the knuckle dragger that goes outside and works and does things. And um so super different change and pace and what this does. But I can tell you right now, man, like the the side of the podcast, as you and I discussed before, of having this conversation and getting perspectives and learning, man, I have really grown to love that, which I didn't expect. So, um, a lot of learning, yeah, a lot of learning at every corner that I look around and every room I look through in my brain. There's something else to learn.
That's awesome. That really
Yeah,
is. And, that's a great aspect of podcasting in general, I
yeah,
think, even if you don't have, three daughters spurring you along.
yeah.
It's just one of those things that we all get to benefit from by being in the field. But I mean, you've been here for a minute. You've got what 64 episodes now, I think you told me.
64. That's right.
Yeah. So you've already passed the first couple of milestones. You broke 20 episodes, which is where like
Okay.
90% of the people quit.
All right.
Then you broke 50, which
Okay.
says, hey, not only am I still in this, but I'm in this and I'm planning on heading
All right.
towards 100, right? Now you're in the 60s. You're going to be at 100 before you know it, man. And then at that point, you're what's called established
So
at
that's when I can
100.
call myself a podcaster,
That's
apparently.
brother, you got a podcast right now, okay? And I've heard it, and it's good. So believe me, you can call yourself a podcaster.
Thank you,
I would say, by all accounts, you definitely are one. But 64 episodes, man, I mean, that's not easy. That's not easy to
dude.
do.
It's been a trek, and I would be remiss not to thank my partner when we first started in 2024. I had a partner with me, Blandon. Him and I put it together. He literally taught me probably 90% of what I know of how I work this podcasting thing. And so if it wasn't for him, I, wouldn't be here. He had to step out of the podcast. He had other stuff he had to focus on. But um, yeah, man, when he stepped out, it was probably the end of 2024 time frame. We kind of took a pause. I was trying to reevaluate what this looked like. Again, can this knuckle dragger do a podcast and the things that come along with a podcast, and really, really just sat down and like did a little coming to Jesus moment, if you will. Like that's the kind of thing that you start thinking, I'm like, wow, I've always said from the very beginning, even when I had a partner, we said if we're not going to provide value, we're not going to publish anything.
Hmm.
It's just not going to work. If we're just doing it for the sake of doing it,
Yeah.
for the sake of pontification of words, like we're not doing that. And so that was the biggest thing is sitting down and realizing, like, if I'm going to do this, it's got to be done the right way, or the best possible way that I know how, right? So I'm sure some of you guys can listen to the podcast and be like, that's not the right way to do that. Send those comments over. Let me
You're
know how
killing
to
me.
how to fix it, and I'll be glad to do that. But yeah, just making sure that there was a way to go forward that I could still provide value as a solo dude on a podcast. Um, and so I took a little bit of time. Luckily, with the work that my partner and I did early, a network saw it fit to offer some spots, a spot, sorry. And again, I pondered on that and realized, all right, if I do this, there's contractual things to do. That's going to force me to do X, Y, Z. Do I really have the what it takes to do that? And I think we were talking, Rory, earlier. Like, I think if I hadn't gone with in that direction, I probably, I mean, in all honesty, would have probably stopped at some point. Just because if you're a podcaster out there, I know I'm not saying anything you don't know. It's a lot more work than what you anticipated when you first started a podcast.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah, it is.
So,
That's for
dude,
sure.
like when you told me when we talked last time, you're like, "Oh yeah, I have this podcast and this other podcast." I was like, wait a minute, you have more than one?
That's six. Yeah.
I know. That's why I'm like, when you said that, dude, it stopped me in my tracks. I'm like, I don't even know what we were talking about. All I can think of is, how do you have more than one?
Yeah. Actually, I got to throw a correction in because by the time this airs, I'll have reactivated another one, so I'll have seven.
You're the man. Holy moly. Holy
But
moly.
I'm just having fun out here. So, I love that because that's a huge thing, man, for everybody is that people who get into podcasting, have an idea of how it's going to look. They have no
Yeah.
idea the work.
Well, you have an idea of what you want it to look like,
Right.
right? Like,
Hmm.
like you watch Joe Rogan's podcast, like, oh, mine totally could look like that. And then you realize Joe Rogan's got this big old team of people that make these things happen, right?
Right.
And then I'm like,
Exactly.
where's my team, dude? Like,
Hmm.
oh wait, I have to pay for that. I have to do this. I have to. No, wait a minute. And so you have an idea of what you want it to look like, and then you put the perpetual pen to paper, and you're like, oh, that didn't look like that at all. So it feels like jumping off the deep end, but you don't actually know what you're jumping into. Like that's how it felt like for me.
Hmm. When you first got into it, you had a reason for getting into it, of course,
Yeah,
and you had kind of a why behind it, right? Like, this is why I'm doing this.
yeah.
And, as you sit here 64 episodes later, has that why changed at
Mm.
all? Has the purpose changed that you're trying to accomplish with each episode from one to today?
That's a great question, man. I think the way to answer that is that it hasn't changed, it's grown. So the reason itself has grown.
Okay.
Um, Before we started, it was just conversations on the phone with my buddy, right? Like, hey, yeah, my daughter this, my daughter that. Oh, your daughter's doing that. Oh, dang, like, I already went through that. Let's talk about that. And it was just conversations. Then we talked about it a little bit, like, dude, like a podcast would be cool because someone else has probably got these questions. Like someone else is probably thinking this thing, right? I always reverted back to like before I had my daughter and think, well, if I had had someone or something like this where I'm kind of listening, even if I'm not interacting, but I'm like hearing what's going on at a certain stage of this fathering thing,
Hmm.
maybe it would have been better, right? Maybe not, but maybe it would have. And so the reason, in all honesty, was for me. I was like, well, I just want to be better. So if I'm talking to other dads with other experiences and other perspectives, then it's gonna make me better. Unless I'm a complete dummy and I'm not picking it up, like it's gonna make me better. So that was number one, and that reason is still that. Like I I take such joy in re-listening to some and or thinking like, oh, Rory and I talked about this thing. I don't remember what we said. Let me go back and I hear it again, and then I hear something I missed in the conversation that we were having, right? And
Yeah.
it just triggers like I have not done that. Maybe I'm being hypocritical, or I should do this, right? And so that's really been helpful as a father to put those plays into action. That's been really cool. The other thing was if I can help one dude that is just terrified knowing that they're about to have a daughter, a kid in general, right? But
Yeah.
again, my lane is girls, and I was terrified, dude. I was like, what am I gonna do with girls, right? If I can help that one dude just feel just a little bit more prepared, and then know that that one dude was able to put whatever we said or whatever we talked about into play, dude, like I've done my job. Like if I could leave a little bit of good in the world with this madness that we have of a world, then I've done my job, right?
Yeah.
And then finally, to keep pushing that dude to be present, to be mindful of what his kids look to him for, and then to be stronger as a man in that realm. If we can continue to push that dude to do that, then dude, like what what are you gonna say? Like, how can we not do that, right?
Right.
And and so that ultimately is what was the reaction for us. It was we talked about it a lot. We talked about yeah we could do this, and it was analysis by paralysis because we're like yeah we could do all these things, but we need to prepare this and this. I mean we're just going through like this cycle of weirdness and chaos. And then randomly, someone in one of the social media things was like, "Is there anywhere where dads of girls can talk about dads of girls?" I was like, "Crap, dude! Like we have no reason not to do this, right? And obviously we may be able to help this other dude, so why not? Let's just put it out there and see what happens." Um, so that's the other reason. And so far, we've been I've been able to continue that. And I've gotten feedback to say, hey, man, that one last episode, that really helped me. And, or this other thing, I'm also doing that and I'm feeling that. That alone, I'm like, dude, I think I'm doing a little bit of good here, right?
Yeah.
Maybe not highest production value, right? Joe Rogan style, but it's still there.
Even Joe Rogan's not Joe Rogan. You know what I mean? Not the way everybody thinks Joe Rogan is. I think he's laughing all the way to the bank. So,
Yeah, right. Absolutely. You're right.
yeah. But no, man, I love that, and that was one of the things that struck me about you the first time I interviewed you on one of my other podcasts was, your heart is in the right place in this whole thing. You really are coming from a servant's heart with this. You're trying to help, and if that's your goal to help at least one guy,
Yeah.
you've already won. You've
And
already won.
and again, just to be fair, I also want to be one of the one guy, right? So like at a bare minimum, I need to be able to learn. And morbidly, I think we talked about this a little bit. If nothing else, dude, like if no one listens to this crap, like I talk for 100 episodes and I got no listeners. I know because of this whole podcasting world, like that's there. And when I'm long gone, my daughters can look back and be like, oh, he was thinking of us. Oh, he was trying to get better. And now they can see the production of hopefully a better father that they got as they grew. Right. And so again, selfishly, yeah, I want to leave that for them.
That's cool. I mean,
Yeah.
talking about legacy and stuff like that, that's amazing.
Right.
So,
Yep.
all right, man. I mean, this is why you do what you do. This is how you do what you do.
Yeah.
Let's get into some of the nuts and bolts of the podcasting part of it a little bit here.
Okay.
All right. So you started the podcast. You've got, like I said, 64 episodes out.
Mm.
How do you go about promoting your podcast?
Mm.
And what have you found that works, and what have you found that just doesn't?
Ooh, that's a great question. So as I've mentioned many times, I like to just kind of bury my head down and then drag it across the ground. Um, the easiest
Okay,
way for me is I made just stuff like I have stickers. It says daughter. I have little round stickers that say daughter podcast, and I tend to carry them wherever I go, work, to the grocery store, whatever. I'll take a couple, and anytime I see a dad with daughters, I'm like, here you go. And I don't say who it is. In fact, this just happened to me last week. A friend of mine at work, he was talking about not his daughters, but his brother's daughters. And I said, "Hey, I heard you talking about daughters, and I brought some for you." And I gave him stickers. So that was last week. And he's like, "Hey, man, I didn't realize that was your podcast." I'm like, "Oh, just it's a podcast." So it's just putting it out there and just letting folks know like it's out there, right? And then when they realize it that has been kind of cool when they realize like, oh, wait a minute, you're like a real podcaster? Like, yeah, I guess. I mean, you're if you listen, then yes, right?
right. I have a mic
So
and
that
everything. It's really cool.
right, exactly. That's actually exactly what I'm like. No, like I have a website and stuff. Like it's real.
Yeah,
And so I that's what I've been doing on the personal level. I used to have some little cards that I would leave. Like I had a QR code and kind of the logo. And then I got my hands up a couple of times. So like, you can't just leave that in our restaurant. I'm like, oh, okay, fine. So I just wouldn't do that. Um, and I just haven't made any new ones. But that's also how I would just kind of leave them. And then my job every so often it takes me different places. And so I'll make sure to take those and kind of spread the word from there.
cool.
Um,
All right.
the other thing that's been really cool it hasn't been like specifically to promote the podcast, but it's been very helpful to is a group of dudes that are also Instagram dads, and we have like this group on Instagram, and they're awesome, man. Like they're wanting to help, they want to be of service as well. We're all kind of going towards the same goal, right? Like whether it's daughters or sons or whatever, like we're trying to be better, and so um they help promote it and they help push it out, and vice versa. If they have something, I help promote it and put it out there. And then finally, I guess the official way, is the network. I'm under the Radcast network, and they help promote that out and push it out to wherever they send out, and they obviously put ads to it and pay their bills and whatnot. But they help to push that stuff out, and that's been very helpful as well. I mean, the growth with them has really helped the podcast.
Excellent.
I've seen a lot of growth because of being on the network. So,
Cool.
and then finally, the one that's true to my heart is my sponsor, which is Fuel Hunt, and it's a really cool partnership because they are uh, they're a great company. I'm not gonna throw them out here. That's just not why I'm bringing them up to sell, but just they have been awesome in the fact that you know uh, they promote my stuff as well because the their message in their company is something that I try to live by as well. So they've been awesome to do that. And the owner of that, Joey, has been a great mentor of mine as well. So that's the kind of stuff that I've used to promote the podcast and push it out to people. The thing that I feel like works best is that face to face, like, oh yeah, I didn't know you had daughters. Like I have $3, and we get in conversation. Like I actually have a podcast about it, and then it just kind of grows from there. And um, being military doesn't hurt because I mean we us military folks like we travel a lot and we go to different places and then we move and so that the word kind of moves in that in that sphere as well. So it's been very helpful.
That's awesome.
What hasn't worked? I don't know. Honestly, I don't know. Like I couldn't tell you. So I got this conversation last week. Someone was like, "Hey, do you know your demographics on a couple of things like XYZ?" I was like, "No, I really don't. Like I probably should know who's listening, you know, age groups and so to answer your question on what hasn't worked, I probably should get smarter on that and get you an answer. I don't think I've focused on that. I'm like, if it works, it works. If it doesn't, it's not hurting me. I don't think.
Sure.
So I just kind of leave it. It could be hurting the podcast. I probably should get smarter on that. But as you mentioned, I'm a full time active duty member, so um, that's usually my time taker, and then I want to make sure to give my family time. So I just don't focus too much on that.
Right on. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that your first and second and third answers were not social media. You had all sorts of other things you're doing, which is great.
And listen, I probably should be better at social media. I put it out there. Obviously, if you go to my Instagram, you see
Yeah,
shorts of my episodes and messages that we want to put out. Um, but I'll be honest with you, social media not only because I suck at it, but I just think that I want to use it when there's something to be said.
hmm,
If that makes any sense. Like I'm not hating on anybody for using social media. It's an amazing tool, obviously. Um, and I'd be lying if I said I wasn't trying to grow the daughter podcast social media, right? Um, but I also want to make sure that the whatever comes out of that is again of value. If I'm just pumping out content just for the sake of pumping out content, odds are I'm going to water stuff down. I'm not going to provide the value that I hope to put out. Um, and all that might be an excuse just because I don't know how to use it that well, maybe. But I do think I believe that, right? Like I want to make sure that I'm pushing value out wherever you see the daughter podcast logo or name. Like I want it to have a value.
awesome. Hey, that's great. Honestly, it is. Plus, your podcast guesting. Like right here. I
Yeah,
mean, this is the
that's
second time
true.
I've
I
had
do
you.
that.
I've had you on as a guest, and you talk about your podcast. So,
Well,
you know,
it's
go ahead.
this is a really cool one because we talked before, Rory. I was like, dude, you don't want to have me in a podcast episode about podcasting because people are gonna be like, either I don't want a podcast if that guy's doing it, or they're gonna be like, oh, if that guy can do it, I could definitely do it, right? Um, so I was like, I don't know if I don't do that. As far as the other shows that I get on, if you get me talking about fathering daughters and uh self improvement and figuring out how to be better for my girls, we can talk all day.
Right. Right on. Right on.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've heard you on a couple of shows that were not mine. So, you know,
Did it
I
go
know you're
well?
out there kind of hitting the circuit. Yeah, you're doing great, man. Of
Good,
course.
because I try not to listen to those. I'm not gonna...
Oh, you're killing me. You're killing me. All right. Cardinal rule number one, you always have to listen to your own stuff. Come
All
on
right,
now.
I'll go back this week and listen to the
Oh,
episodes I was in.
you're hurting my heart right now.
I listened to yours. I promise.
I
I did
appreciate it.
yours. Brent's. I went back and listened to that.
Yeah.
And then I've been on a couple others that I have not fully listened to. Like I listened to them to be like, all right, I don't sound like a complete idiot. That's good. All right, and then I move on. Again, I just want to represent
Yeah.
the podcast well. I want to represent fathers well. I want to represent men well. So I get kind of cringy when I'm like looking at myself on the camera. So
Yeah. You're very humble, brother. I mean, really. So, all right. Well, you're doing good stuff. I appreciate it. And I love the answer to that question. Honestly, that's a great way to go about it. So, um, have you had a chance to now you monetization of a podcast
Mm,
takes a whole bunch of different forms. You have been able to you said you have a sponsor with Fuel Hunt, and I've heard of
hmm
that, of course.
hmm
Um, is that like an affiliate type thing? Do you mind me asking? You can always
No,
say,
no,
"Hey, I don't
not at
want to
all.
talk about it," but
No,
I'm just curious for
absolutely.
everybody else.
I'm essentially an ambassador affiliate type currently
Cool.
with them, and but it
Hmm.
was so that's a really cool question because the monetization has been kind of like a black swan for me. Just
Mm,
like just because I'm like I don't same concept, right? I don't want to monetize for the sake of monetizing. Like I don't want to bring something to you when you're listening to my show that you're like, whoa, like I didn't that doesn't match the dude or the show. Like it doesn't make sense to me, right?
right.
Um, not that it's easy to go get money either, but just in general, like I just don't want to do that. With Fuel, it was a cool relationship because I've had a relationship with them for a while, but I just remember having the conversation where it's like, listen, man, I don't want any money. I just I want us to partner. I believe in what you do, you believe in what I do. Let's figure out how to partner. And that was the relationship started there with the podcast. And like I said, they've been amazing for that. As far as the others, like the the network has ways to monetize, and that's through sponsorships that they put together.
Right.
But I'm still learning that because like I only have so far one, but it's not like a show sponsor. It's like a and again, you all probably know already better than I do, but it's like a episode or episode sponsor, if that makes any
Mm.
sense. Like
Yeah, sure. So it's like
they
an
asked
ad.
me for a personal endorsement on something that
Hmm.
again I tested and made sure that I'm not just talking out of my ass kind of thing. Um, but it's not like a like I don't maybe I shouldn't say that, I don't know, but I don't consider them like, oh, they're my sponsor. Like that's not how it works, right?
I understand. Yeah.
So the monetization has been kind of interesting thought process for me. The other thing too with that for me is I want to be able to provide value to the listener, but also if Rory wants to sponsor me, we're gonna have a hard conversation to make sure that I'm providing value to him as well,
Hmm.
right? Because as I mentioned, I'm full time active duty. And if you as a sponsor are like, hey, I need you to put out, 5 commercials a week or 5 posts a week, or whatever, I'm like, yeah, it's not happening, bro. Like it's just it's not gonna work, right? Because I want to be able to provide what the agreement is, and so I've been kind of cautious with that because I don't want to over um I don't want to overvalue what I can give, right? And so maybe I've been slow rolling the whole sponsorship stuff.
Hmm.
Um, the
Okay.
monetization has been kind of it's definitely in the back of my head because the podcast, again, I don't have to tell your listeners, it's not cheap. It's a thing that
Right.
needs to get fed, right?
Yeah. Hmm.
Um, but I think as I start to transition out, uh, and out of the military, if you know, if I can grow this to the level that Rory has for 7 shows, um, then I can really start to provide more for my listener and for any potential sponsors.
Right on. Right. I
Yeah,
like the cerebral way you're approaching all of it too. You're not in a hurry. You kind of
yeah,
measure in the terrain, like where am I at? It's almost like you're a
right.
military guy or something.
Yeah, right. Looking at all the options is all right.
Right on. That's good. That's really good. Okay. Again, I appreciate your answer. Appreciate your candor, and it's nobody's
Of course.
business, but I appreciate you sharing that with folks. Monetization
Yeah,
is something people always want to talk about. They always want to hear about. And
yeah. Oh
I
yeah.
mean, there are literally hundreds of ways to monetize
Mhm.
different things, in the way that you operate your podcast. So I mean, you're barely scratching the surface, but man, you're on the right track. So I like what you're doing.
I
Now
just
when
want to
you
make sure it makes sense,
yeah, for
right? Like
sure.
I just want to make sure that it makes sense for not just for me as a podcaster, but for the listener. Like if you're listening to my show and you hear some random commercial about something that you would never hear the show talk about,
Hmm.
it just doesn't make sense to me. So that's really where I don't there's no lines to draw because I don't know what lines to draw right now anyway. But that's really where I started looking. I'm like, it doesn't make sense. And I've through the network, I have actually declined a couple just because I'm like, I've never used whatever you're asking me to sell. And unless you're gonna send me one for free and let me use it, then I'm not gonna go and put it on there and just try to sell someone something. It doesn't make sense to me. So,
Sure.
because I wouldn't want Rory to do that to me, right? Like I
Right.
don't
Right
like.
on.
So I try to. I mean, I am the knuckle dragger. I try to look at like the other knuckle dragger on the other side of that iPhone that people are listening on and be like, I know what they want to hear and what they don't want to
All right. Well, as long as you got the viewpoint of the other knuckle dragger, I think you're in good
hear.
shape. So I
Hey
love
man,
that.
keeping it real.
When you first started off, you were doing solo episodes because it was, you and your partner, you guys were talking to each other
Yep.
in that you weren't interviewing guests to start with, right?
Yep.
You were doing those. Now you do have a lot of guests on.
I do.
So are you primarily interview show now, or are you still doing both?
Oh man, I've never asked myself that question. I think season two has made it primarily interview show.
Hmm.
Um, I have done some solo episodes. I call them thoughts by Oscar because they're shorter. I'm thinking through something. I'm giving you some data. I'm pissed off about something. I don't go off the handle, but you'll get it like as I'm talking.
Right.
But it's pretty short. And I like to do that. I mean, people, they don't want to listen to an hour show if it's just one dude talking. If they have nothing specific to say, right? Like I've listened to single individuals talking. I'm listening the entire time because there's something to be said. So yeah, so I guess the answer would be interview based for sure. Uh, I've really grown to like that. I really enjoyed that aspect of podcasting, being able to talk to you wherever you are and discover that either we're thinking the same thing, that you're thinking something that I should be thinking, or that you're thinking something that I do not want to be thinking. Like I like to hear all that, right?
Yeah.
And that's perspective building, and I think it's instant growth if you allow it to do that. So I really become to enjoy that.
Excellent. I always ask everybody a corny question on the show. So here it
Send it.
goes. Are you ready for it?
Oh
You
yeah,
strapped in? Okay,
let's
here
do
we
it.
go. When you're doing your podcast, what is it about doing your podcast that you love the most?
Okay.
And what is it about doing your podcast that you just absolutely throw out the window, can't stand, hate the
Yeah,
most?
that's not corny. Is that corny?
I
Oh, dude,
I
my
thought it was corny.
answers.
What do you love the
My
most? What do you hate the most? It's
I
just kind of
I
trite,
feel like
but
I ask myself that question every time I'm editing a show.
we get great
Uh,
answers to it though. So that's why I keep asking
okay, all right.
it.
As I mentioned, I love I think it's called content creating. Right? Just bear with me, right? So you and I talking and striking the brain with juices that I wasn't thinking of
Mm,
or things like that. And I'll just give you a perfect example. Um, my last guest just happens that it was my last guest, my last episode that published, but him and I talked probably 3 weeks ago, before we did anything, and then we recorded a while ago. Um, he changed like perspective by using specific words that I wanted that I meant to use, but I didn't use. So like he eloquently put something where I'm like, actually, that's what I've been thinking this whole time. I just have been using the wrong words, right?
mm.
So like that hit me in the brain. I'm like, oh, dude, that's awesome. And so that I enjoy because now I'm putting that into play. So love that. And it's kind of cool. I record at home, normally in my daughter's room because it's kind of like the shtick. I think it's what they call it, right? Like it's my daughter's room when I record. But when I leave the episode, or excuse me, the recording, I can go and put whatever I just heard that stroke something in the brain. I can go put it in play right away. So I really enjoy that. I do not enjoy editing, social media, like all the other things that have to happen. That part, as soon as when you talk about monetization, I'm not trying to get rich, guys. Like I just want to make enough money to pay someone to do good work so that you guys can get the benefit and I don't have to do that. Just being honest with you.
Right on.
Um, Now, because it's a trench that I have to work in, right? You have to edit, whether well, I have to edit. I
No,
don't
you
pay
don't.
for anybody to edit. Because I have to edit, um, I have learned to like some of that in the aspect of re-listening to the show again, as I mentioned, re-listening to the words that were said, put things into play that I didn't put into play because I wasn't, sometimes when you're recording time and you're kind of keeping track of things, you miss some of that real conversation.
Hmm.
So that part I still enjoy. And I've gotten better at editing, but as Brent will tell you, if you guys don't know Brent from That Hat Shenanigans,
Hmm.
he's helped me edit some and he's good at it. And I'm like, Brent, like, I'm just going to give this to you whenever I can. So he's edited a few for me and he's awesome. So
Brent's a good guy.
yeah.
I enjoy him. I've had him on one of my podcasts too. So it's and we do that panel, together. You and I are
Yeah.
talking
Yeah.
about.
Yeah.
So, but yeah,
And I can't even
that's
imagine
fun.
how you edit that panel. Like I can barely edit what I do. Like you got
You don't.
6, 7 dudes in there. Like, all right,
You
we're
don't.
done.
No, that's pretty raw. That is pretty raw when it comes out.
You don't.
Plus, it's
I like that.
live to begin with. But yeah. All right. Anyway, yeah, I'm a good answer to the question. This is why I keep asking the corny
Yeah.
question
Yeah.
because we
Yeah.
keep getting awesome answers. So, if we did a Family Feud style and it was like top five answers on the board, I mean, it's almost always editing, social media, boom,
Oh, so
boom,
I'm not that all.
and
You know what? I
you
might be a
hit the top
podcaster
two
after all.
answers, man. You hit the top two. So don't. You're not alone. In other
All right.
words, but yeah, you don't have to edit at all, like
It's true.
zero,
That is true.
zero, really.
Yeah.
So we'll talk more about that later. But
Yeah.
all you guys with your editing, I'm telling you.
Well,
What
here's
do you
here's
what
the
do you end
kicker,
up?
man. I so in my job, I'm an instructor by trade.
Hmm.
So when you are doing evaluations on instruction, you just get so critical on these things, right? And so then when I listen to myself talk, I'm like, what is no? Like, and so I start editing. So Brent helped me kind of veer off some of that as he does. So, but you're right. There doesn't need to be any editing. It's what do you call it? It's like it's your baby, right? So like when you're
Right.
looking at it, it's a different thing. If you give it to someone else, it's easier. So I don't know.
Phew. Wow. All right. All right. So much damage has been done to you, man. We're gonna have
I
to
am
undo it
harmed.
somehow.
I am so harmed.
Oh man, I love it.
Self-imposed mostly.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. But I love that a lot of this though is coming from you just really want to make sure you're doing it right.
Yeah.
That's
It
important. You can tell you have a respect for the business.
it, it you know what? That's probably something I should say. I honestly don't think of the business. I just think of like, what's the other side thinking? People are listening. Is there value? Does it suck when we talk? Like, is production value okay enough to sit there and I don't want it to take away from the message.
Right.
That's the biggest thing, right? And
Right on.
so maybe I should focus on the business. I haven't yet, but maybe we'll talk after
Let,
that.
let me let me rephrase that just for the sake of this conversation though, because it's probably not really the respect for the business. You have a respect for the craft.
Yes. Yeah,
There you go.
I do. Yeah.
Okay, and I appreciate that, and so do your
Yes.
listeners. So that's why you're being successful right now, man. So way to go. Very cool.
I haven't gotten fired. So
Well, yeah, if you get fired, you need to give me a call because we really
okay.
have crossed the line. All right,
Yeah,
with
right.
what's going on. All right, brother. No, listen, I love what you're talking about. I do have to ask this question because even though I hate it with like every fiber of my being, people
Okay.
still want to know. So if I don't ask it, I actually get DMs when they hear the episode. They're like, you didn't
All
ask
right.
about it. So do you utilize AI for anything in your podcast? And if so, what and how's it work for
Absolutely. Are you kidding me? Did I not mention I'm the knuckle dragger?
you?
Come on, bro. Like, so okay. So that's a really good question, actually. Um, what I try to do, I do use it for specific, what do you call it? Mapping. What
Okay.
I don't want AI to do is to be my voice. That's the biggest thing. So even if I write something up and I say, hey, I need to clean this up, like again, knuckle dragger, right? So like if I put it in there, I have to read it and be like, that is absolutely not what I would say. Okay, not doing that. So I don't want it to I don't want AI to be the podcast. I don't want AI to be a message on social media. Uh, I don't want AI to be the message in my newsletter. Now, do I use it to format and to do the things that that I should probably pay someone to do? Absolutely, because it's a useful tool, and that's something that at first I was kind of like, no, I'm not going to do that. And then talked to uh, Tracy Brinkman, and he's like, no, dude, look, AI is very useful. This is how you can use it. And so again, in those conversations, I learned a lot. And so yeah, the answer is I absolutely use AI. But I promise you, at least to this point, AI has not been the voice in the podcast. And that's the
Excellent.
biggest thing, is ensuring that ensuring that my knuckle dragonness comes across in the podcast, because that's who I am. So I'll put it in there, and it absolutely cleans stuff up. And it's kind of nice, guys, because I'll write things the way that I would say them, cuss words and all, and AI can clean that up for me in a way that still has a message that I would still say, just a little more eloquently sometimes. So
Excellent. Okay. I mean, you're
hopefully that
using the
answers your
enhancements.
question.
Yeah, it's you're enhancing what you're already doing. You're not replacing necessarily what you're doing, which is good.
That is the goal, is to
Yeah,
make it better, not replace anything of what I'm doing.
I love it. I love it. All right, as we kind of bring this thing to a close here, I do have one more question for you, of course. But before we do that, let's make sure we get your contact information out
Yeah,
there. How can people reach you? How can they find you? Especially on IG. Sounds like you spend a lot of time there.
that's the platform that I use the most, and it's
Mhm.
simply because I don't have the bandwidth to go to other platforms. It's just like it's just there.
Right.
So at Daughter Podcast is on Instagram, and then my I don't know what they call it, the uh, uh, influencer creator thing that I have for me, part of the podcast as a father of daughters, is a underscore growing girl dad is my Instagram. And then if you remember none of that, just go to daughteredpodcast.com and you'll be able to find all of our stuff in there, because again, try to put everything in a simple place. We have a newsletter. Hope I can talk about that. Just
Cool. Yes,
it's
please.
the moment you go into the website, it pops up right away. You sign up for that. I really, that's another part that I've really started to enjoy, is the newsletter. I do it myself. Again, I have no team, but it's either looking at a concept that one of the episodes had that really brought something to the table that we need to hear, or a lot of times it's giving you details about what the new episode is going to have, and kind of getting you thinking about it, and then the episode will publish next day. And so that's been kind of cool to do, the newsletter. I got a lot more positive feedback from the newsletter than I anticipated, to be honest with you. So that's something that I'm trying to focus on as well. And again, uh, not spamming anybody. If it's not providing value, I'm not going to send it. And I try to just do one a week, so that when you get it, it's not a overburden on email. And I know, trust me, guys, I hate email. So, but it is. I have gotten feedback that it is being helpful. So as long as it's being helpful, we'll keep sending it out.
Wonderful. All right. Good deal, man.
Yes,
All
sir.
right. Last question. Here we go. And,
Send it.
and I don't want to hear how you're not like worthy of answering the question.
All right.
Just leave that out in the cold right now. We've already covered the fact that you're a podcaster.
Through it.
So, what is your best advice after 64 episodes, for crying out loud? Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
You're no rookie at this point. What's your best advice to podcasters who are out there, who are listening right now, who are just simply not quite where you are
Mm.
yet?
First and foremost, some advice that Joey from Fuel Hunt gave me is just keep going. Just keep going. As I mentioned, admittedly, I may have stopped if I had gotten on with the network, but I also got on with the network with that thought process of like, this is going to force me to do these things.
Yeah.
So just keep going. If you're enjoying it and you're providing value, yes, it hurts. Yes, the editing is hard. Yes, things cost. But if you can do it, just keep doing it. And then you get to meet cool people like Rory. You get to meet just like amazing folks that you get to either interview or learn from. And it really, in my opinion, really grows your love for the craft. Like, oh, this is really cool. Like it's a cool community that I just never thought I would ever be part of. And it's simply because, you know, I'm a knucklehead, and I just kept going. Like it's just how we're gonna do this. So embrace a little bit of the pain and keep going. And I think I still tell myself the same thing. Keep going. 64 episodes. I told Rory before we started recording, 100 episodes seems like so far away. Um, but Maybe at 100 episodes, I'll send Corey a message, be like, I think I'm a podcaster now. Just keep going.
All right. All right, man. You're going to get there before you know it. You're going to be sitting there at 100, and I'm going to be like, hey, congrats on hitting 100. You're going to be like, I hit 100? When did that
Yeah.
happen? I didn't even know it.
I
Everything's
will
going
say
so smooth.
this. I have to say this because I've been kind of not struggling with it, but like thinking through it. We went, the podcast went over 1 million downloads overall, not like in a month, right? But that's since 2024.
It's great.
And to your point, I hadn't done the math because the network had moved us from different platforms. And so when I did do it, I was like, oh crap, that's kind of cool. Like, right. And I don't know what that really means, to be honest with you. I just think it's cool. Like we went over 1 million downloads. Wherever those downloads went, someone heard something.
Hmm.
So, there's that. So yeah, just keep going, man. It'll get there.
I'll tell you what it means. It means we got to get you monetized.
Well,
That's what it means.
tell me more, Rory.
Okay. I love it. All right, brother. Folks, uh, active duty Air Force, father of three daughters, married 22 years, and host of the hit podcast, the Daughtered Podcast, Oscar Pena. Oscar, thanks for being here today, brother, for sharing everything you did, and just for your humility and your respect for the craft is honestly amazing. And thanks for being here today.
Thanks, Rory. It was a pleasure. Thanks for taking the chance to put me on this show.
You got
Appreciate
it,
you.
man. 100%. Folks, that's been another fantastic episode of the Podcaster Nation. And the reason that we get these fantastic podcasters on here with these great messages is because this is the podcast. That's about podcasters. It's for podcasters. It's done by podcasters. Folks, we showed it again today, but this is truly the place where the rising tide raises all ships. So keep sailing.